Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon.
I'm ready. I'm here. Welcome, everybody. This is a real hat. This is not one of those avatars. Wonderful. We'll be starting in just a moment. We're just going to let everybody filter in. Feel free to let us know in the chat if you're wearing any brilliant Christmas hats as well, or even Christmas jumpers, or not quite yet in the mood.
Welcome all.
We've got a few people type in.
Thank you, Nicola. We've tried. We've made an effort.
This is a real tree. This is not a background. So yeah.
Thank you. Oh,
Wonderful.
that's of course you need a new jumper. Like
Absolutely.
that's essential, Saren, and I recommend it as essential well-being care to go and get a new Christmas jumper.
Absolutely. And what better way to spread Christmas joy and cheer? God, I sound like Elf.
Singing loud for all to hear.
Yeah, we won't be doing that. Not
Okay,
today.
good. Good. Uh, it makes so many people happy, that Hannah.
It really does.
Yeah, they are real books that we have really read. Apparently, it was a thing in lockdown when people were first getting used to having sort of their background showing. People were going and buying books just for the color to create a really cool, like, background behind. But they're real books, I promise.
They certainly are.
But it's not always easy to find the one we're looking for.
It really isn't. Okay, so should we get started?
Shall we just? I think
Wonderful.
so.
Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for coming along to the last Lunch and Learn of the year. We want to just thank everybody who has registered for all of the events, those that have found value, engaged, written articles for us, even sponsored the sessions. You are all why we are continuing to create these sessions for this community. And now, as I mentioned, this is the last session of 2025, but we already have a full schedule for next year. I will, in a moment, pop the links for all of that in the chat, especially for the first 3 sessions of the year. But here is a quick rundown of what we've got in store for you. So in January, we're going to be tackling loneliness and workplace isolation. February, self-sabotage. In March, we've got resilient leaders, followed by leading with calm, vulnerability, role models in the workplace. We've got psychological safety later in the year in July. A session on failure and how to flourish. We've got happiness in September, which I know is one of Leanne's favourite topics to talk on. We've got the science of stillness, emotional agility, and the festive reset. Plus, we've already organised and they're already scheduled, and some are still pending specialist sessions throughout the year as well. From menopause in the workplace, managing a neurodiverse workforce, and lots more. We've also the digital People magazine. Next year we'll be moving to quarterly, so we can create something with even more value, resources, interviews, sponsors, and everything to make it a valuable place for you all to go. And that isn't it. So, oh God, we're doing so much. And in Cardiff as well, or if you're in South Wales, we will be starting our People Power series that is in partnership with HR Wales Network. It is a lot, I know. So I will be popping all of these links into the follow-up email. But now let's hand over to Leanne so we can get started with today's festive reset. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. And yeah, this is what we're all here for, isn't it? So I don't know about you. I don't know whether you're feeling the Christmas vibes yet, whether you're one of those people that was like organized in September, or whether you're a Christmas Eve going to the garage forecourt kind of person with your Christmas plans. But one thing's for sure, towards the end of the year, so many of us are feeling stressed, we're feeling worn out. And so this is a taster really of sessions we do for our clients at this time of year as a gift to their staff to enable them to just take a moment, take a beat and breathe. And so I can't wait to share this one with you. For those of you who are new to People, just a little brief introduction. So I'm Leanne Weaver. I'm Managing Director of Beam, and Tom is Head of Operations. We created Beam really as a way of helping and supporting employees and individuals. And we work with organizations all over the world. I always say we work in 45 countries, but that was the last time we counted it. So I don't really know how many countries we work in, but we work across the world.
I think it's more
And
now.
I think it might be a couple more, yeah. And we work with organizations who really care about and invest in their staff. So anything from leadership programs to personal development programs on things like confidence and imposter syndrome and resilience, to well-being programs ranging from things like stress and anxiety, and really everything we do, because we're both psychologists and therapists, all has this kind of underpinning really of making sure that it's very science-based, gives people a grounding of what we teach, helps people understand what's going on for them, and then gives really practical tools. So if you want to know anything else about Beam, if you want to know how we can support your employees in 2026, then please get in touch. We're always happy to just have a half-hour call anyway, if you just need some pointers. Okay, so what are we going to cover in this lunchtime? Well, we're going to really look at how we can use some tools ourselves to let go of some of the stress that we might be carrying, to prepare us for some of the stress we might have coming. I mean, if you're in HR, you might have some Christmas parties that you're probably dreading for the headache that they can cause. Or work might be fine. You might be dreading the time you've got to spend with your in-laws. Who knows? So we're going to share lots of tools to help you manage this time of year. So I'm going to share with you an exercise to help change some energy, how to manage the stresses that Christmas can bring up. We're going to share some micro moments of calm. And then we're going to end this session with one of my favorite exercises. I'm going to explain to you why I think New Year's resolutions are absolutely a waste of time and why your intention is so much more powerful. And we'll end with a little exercise. So you'll probably need pen and paper for that. So if you can grab that, please do. Now, this isn't like the normal people sessions that you have been to. This one isn't lots of science and theory. This one is very much focused on practical. We want you to feel so chilled and relaxed by the end of this session. So I'm going to encourage you to do anything you can to get more comfortable right now. So to make sure that your Outlook is closed, to put your phone on silent. If you're at home and you want to lay down somewhere, by all means. If you're in the middle of the office, perhaps don't do that. If you are surrounded by other people, I encourage you to either ask them to just listen and join in, or to at least tell them to leave you alone for half an hour and give you a bit of peace and quiet. If you need to kick your shoes off, if you're lucky enough to have a blanket near you, do whatever it is you need to do to feel more comfortable. Okay, so we're going to start with a really simple but powerful exercise that you can use anytime, anywhere, that really helps you change the energy. So you can use this at your desk. We're going to do it right here, right now. And whether you're sat or laying down, this exercise works really well. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to place both feet flat on the floor. And I'm going to ask you to perhaps lift them and put them back down, maybe a little stamp. Just so you then, when you have them both flat on the floor, you really feel that connection to the ground beneath you. If you're able to take off your shoes, all the better. And placing our feet flat on the floor might seem like such a simple thing, but it's a tool we teach quite often when we are helping people who carry a lot of emotional labor. If you're having a lot of difficult conversations, one of the first things we teach you is the importance of having your feet flat on the floor. So if you are a stressed or an anxious person, your feet will very rarely be both flat on the floor. So you are likely to sit with one foot perhaps on your toes or having a leg crossed over. And whilst that might feel comfortable because it's normal to you, the problem with that is that your brain is constantly scanning your body to get an indication of what's going on in its environment. And if you don't have both feet flat on the floor, your brain interprets that as I don't feel safe and I might have to run soon. So simply making sure that your feet are pressed firmly on the floor starts to send a signal of safety to your brain. Now, if you want to, you can do this even more powerfully, where if you're sat, you can encourage yourself to lean forward as if you are about to stand up. So you're pushing the weight of your legs down into your feet. So if you just do that for a moment, and then keeping that pressure with your feet, you can sit back, but now your feet feel even more engaged. And you can just concentrate for a minute and feel the toes pressed against the floor. And you can feel the balls of the feet pressed in. And you can feel your heels. And then if you're comfortable too, you could just close your eyes for a moment and just feel that connection. Just notice how it feels when your feet are pressed firmly on the floor. Then just want you to take a nice, slow, deep breath all through the nose. So breathing in and breathing out. And again, breathing in and breathing out. And to really deepen that connection, I want you to imagine on the next inhale that you're breathing all the way down to your feet. And then as you exhale, you bring it up from your feet and you breathe it all the way out of your nose. Breathing in, taking it down to your feet. Breathing out, bringing it all the way back up through your legs, your body, and out through your nose. Breathing in and down to your feet. And then bringing it back out as you come back up the body. And as you sit in this state and you just feel more present, more grounded, I want you to silently say to yourself, I am here. I am calm. I am present. I am here. I am calm. I am present. And just notice for a moment how nice it feels when you give your body this kind of permission. When you allow yourself to just sit for a minute, feel connected. And when you're ready, I want you to take a much more deliberate breath in through the nose. And then sigh it out through the mouth with an ah. In through the nose. Sighing it out. Last one. Sigh it out. When you're ready, you can just open your eyes, come back to the room. And just take a little moment to notice how that feels. If you're in front of the computer, then by all means, let us know in the chat box how that felt. That exercise is minutes, like 2 minutes. It's an exercise you could do and nobody else would need to know you're doing it. So whether you're sat at your desk or whether you're sat at the dinner table, you can do that exercise just for a minute and nobody else needs to know about it. And it will just bring you back into that present moment. The feet exercise is groundbreaking. Honestly, when people realize the difference that makes, it's huge. So, this time of year, there are a lot of stressors. There are lots of things that we can be carrying that will make this time of year extra difficult. Depending on your experiences, you might associate this time of year as something that is difficult, is sad. It might draw your attention to Christmases past that have perhaps not been so pleasant, or maybe remembering loved ones that are no longer sat with you. It can cause a lot of financial stress. It can cause relationship stress. We've got to perhaps spend more time with people that we don't want to spend time with. It can cause a lot of stress in terms of feeling like you've got to do so many things. So you might feel physically stressed. There's lots of bugs around, so that might put more stress on your system. And so it's not surprising as we kind of get to the end of 2025 that you might be feeling as if you are limping over the finish line. And if you are lucky enough to be someone who feels that you're running through the finish line with your arms wide in the air, you probably, as a people person, are aware that that isn't everyone else's experience. And so, whether it's you or whether it's the people around you, managing those stresses that are amplified at this time of year is always a really useful thing to do. And I'm going to ask Tom if he will share 3 stressor exercises. Oh, no, it's not this one. That's totally the wrong thing. Tom looked panicked then. I'm not going to ask Tom. I'm going to share this bit. So I'm going to share with you 3 exercises that help you manage these stressors that again can be done in the moment, can also be taught to people that you see are struggling. So if you know that a colleague, a relative, a child is finding it really difficult, you could choose one of these and start to encourage them to use it. So the first one is the pause and prioritize method. If you feel really overwhelmed right now, if you feel like you've got a million things left to do before the year can end at work, plus you've got a million things to do on your personal list as well, take a moment every morning and just give yourself 5 minutes and identify the top 3 things you need to focus for the day. That doesn't mean you don't have other things, but identify those top 3 things that you know that you need to do. Now, many of you will love making lists, and lists can be really helpful as long as we use them properly. So there is science in list making, and the science says that a list should be no more than 9 items. And I've got a feeling that there will be people here who have lists that go over pages, let alone 9 items. And so if you are able to, if you make a list with 9 items, and one of those items is a quick win item, so maybe it's send that easy email or tidy my desk before I start or wrap that present. If you pick a quick win item and you can tick it off quickly, you get a little dopamine surge. And the great thing about using dopamine in this way is it encourages you to then want to tick off more items. Apparently, if we have a list that has over 9 items, we become overwhelmed and the brain just kind of says, well, there's too many. I'm not going to achieve it, so I won't do it at all. So take a moment every morning to just pause, give yourself 5 minutes and prioritize what's important for you to achieve that day. Now, if you're a regular at People, you will have heard us talk about setting boundaries so many times. We've got a whole session on it in the replay library anyway. But boundaries are really important at this time of year. And boundaries are an act of kindness. And this is something that so many of us don't feel when we're setting a boundary. But when we set a boundary, what we do is we say that this is really important to me. And so we can set a boundary that says, I would love to help you, but right now I've got too much on my plate. Or I would love to come to that event, but right now I've got too many things in my diary and I'm going to be exhausted if I do all of them. Practicing saying no kindly but firmly can eventually start to give you the courage to say no to those people that you find even more difficult. So play with setting some boundaries. You don't have to do it all. And then every single day between now and the new year, I'd love you to practice the 5-5-5 technique. And the 5-5-5 technique is that every day you take a 5-minute break for yourself. You can do anything within that break, but there must be 5 deep breaths. So you could be reading, you could be just listening to a Christmas song, you could be drinking a hot chocolate. But in that 5-minute break, you also take 5 deep breaths, just like we just did in the grounding exercise. And then if you feel that you're starting to get stressed and there's starting to be a lot on your mind, you have a 5-minute reframe. And that 5-minute reframe can be within the same 5 minutes, but it can be things like, I'm only responsible for myself. I can only take on this much. I'm only one person. Not everything is urgent. Those kinds of reframes help you to start to build in that prioritization. So a 5-minute break, you take 5 deep breaths, and then in that 5 minutes, you reframe any of those stressful thoughts that you're having. It'll enable you to start to manage that buildup of those stressors. Okay, so this is the slide I was meant to introduce Tom to. So both Tom and I are breathwork practitioners and masters. We use it in a lot of different ways. But Tom is like super obsessed with breath. So Tom, over to you.
Of course, yes, we do love breath, and it is one of the first things that we can do to start to take control of any situation. And the 3 exercises that Leanne mentioned earlier is what I'm going to take you through today. So it wasn't the pause, although you did mention something on the lists, and it's something that I talk to many of my clients about during the coaching sessions. And we always celebrate 2-minute wins. So anything that can take 2 minutes, it really does hit that dopamine. And it's easy to remember as well. If it can take 2 minutes, do it, and it will feel much better. But anyway, back to the breath. So a lot of us forget that breathing is something that we can take control of, because it's something that we do passively all the time. And there are a few ways that we can start to take control without really diving too deep into the science or trying to really change how we are breathing in a really complicated way. The simple things work the best. So one of the first things that we can do to start to change our physiological state, our psychological state, is keeping our mouths closed. So what we want to do is we want to breathe only through the nose. So just take a couple of breaths now, if you can. Just breathing in and out through your nose. What you'll start to notice is that those breaths are slower, they're deeper, they're more controlled, but they're filling our lungs with the filtered air because it's coming through our nose. We also pick up some of the other magical gases that are hiding in our nasal cavity that help transport this perfect breath into our blood. And when we have more oxygenated blood, our brains work better. So we have higher cognitive function when we're breathing better as well. So The first exercise that I'm going to take you through to add a micro moment of calm is the shush breath. So we're going to be breathing in through our noses and then out through our mouths. But on the exhale, we're going to be shushing. So we'll be making a a long shushing noise. So let's try this together. We're just going to do a couple of rounds of the shush breath together. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and then exhale, shushing. Shh. And breathe in and exhale. Shh. And again, breathe in through the nose and shush. Shh. And again, in and shush. Shh. One last time, breathe in through the nose, fill in those lungs, and shush. Shh. So a really nice, gentle breathing exercise that will help shush the situation, shush the mind, and bring a little micro moment of calm. So the next exercise that I'd like to take you through is the physiological sigh. Now, this is a heavily researched breathing exercise. If any of you have listened to Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist, I think he's out of Stanford, and he's got his own podcast, the Huberman Lab. Fascinating guests, but he has done a lot of research into how the physiological sigh can change and regulate the nervous system. So this exercise, when during the studies, he did this he got the participants to do this for between about 3 to 5 minutes, but the effects are noticeable within 3. So we can do this in about 20 to 30 seconds. We can fit it into just before going into a meeting where we need to sort of, just have a little moment of relax, add some composure before we go on a call or we answer an email. So this physiological sigh it's been noticed in that we do this as an automatic breathing pattern. So if you've that time where you do a really if you've ever had like one of those really like ugly cries, and then at the end you'll do like a that is one of those moments where the physiological sigh shows up in just the normal things that we would do. If you are a pet owner and you notice that your dog's going off to sleep, he gets in his bed and then he circles loads of times then before flopping down, and then if you watch, they'll take a double breath in and then they'll just breathe and then they'll go off to sleep. So this breathing exercise has been observed in humans and in animals, and in babies as well. So this exercise is something that our bodies know to do. But if we can introduce it and do it in a very quick way, then we can have the same effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in twice through the nose and then slowly out through, well, actually, we're going to do this out through the mouth. So we're going to breathe in twice through the nose and then out through the mouth, sighing out. And we're just going to repeat this a couple of times. So we're going to breathe in and again, in, and then let go. In again, and then out. And one last time, in again, and out. Just takes 3 breaths. That's about 20 seconds. And what we can do is we can start to regulate our nervous system. We slip into the parasympathetic, and it is that quick. And the parasympathetic is our rest and digest, which is a place that we'd like to be to add that little element of calm. And finally, our next micro moment of calm is adding it says haven on the screen, but this is a self-havening technique. It's something that we deliver in therapy sessions, and it is a way of self-soothing the body. There's lots of science on this, but I won't go into that just now. We're going to get straight into the moment of calm. So there's 2 ways that you can apply what we're calling a havening touch. So you can rub your hands together just like this, making sure the palms are connected. Nice and slowly but consistent. If you're not wearing a really thick jumper or coat, if you're just wearing a light top, or then what you can do is you can take your hands from your shoulders down to your elbows and just continue this motion. And this one is a really nice one. It feels a little bit like a hug. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to continue doing one of these techniques. So whether it's just with the hands together or the hands down from the shoulders down to the elbows. And I'd like you just to repeat in your mind, I am calm. I am calm. I am calm. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I am okay. I am okay. I am okay. You can add any self-soothing affirmation that you wish, that's relevant to the situation at the time. But one of those 3 are really simple ones to add in that tend to apply for a lot of situations. Now, whilst we're continuing to do this havening touch, if you come from a bit more of an elevated state, so a bit more of a stressful situation, you could do one of these exercises and apply a small distraction technique. So I'd like you to, in your mind, or you can say out loud because everybody's on mute, think or say out loud 3 things to do with Christmas. Okay. So maybe next 3 things that you would eat at Christmas. Next, maybe 3 things that you would like as a present for Christmas. And now maybe 3 traditions that you love to do at Christmas. Wonderful. Now you can rest your hands from whichever technique that you were doing and just take a moment just to breathe in and out through the nose, just to rest. You might feel a little bit of a tingling sensation on your arms or on your hands. And this is a really good sign. But that technique itself will help shift you from maybe a stress state or an anxious state into a moment of calm. Hope you've enjoyed those. I'm going to hand you back over to Leanne.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tom. So all 3 of those are really doable. And the physiological side, really straightforward. If you want any more information on havening, we do have a booklet on it, So you can just drop us a message and we can get that sent out to you if you did want to learn about it. 'Cause it's a really different therapy, but it has amazing results. So it's really useful. Okay, so at this time of year, once we've kind of got through Christmas, the next thing that we tend to be thinking of is New Year. And then there's all this pressure about what we need to be in the new year and how much better we need to be. And we kind of beat ourselves up with it. So most of us have at some point on December the 31st said, right, next year I'm going to be healthier, I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to learn that foreign language, I'm going to do. And unsurprisingly, the statistics really fluctuate with this, and you see all different levels of statistics. But the most compelling ones I've seen is that by the 31st of January, 90%, 90% of all New Year's resolutions are broken. So clearly they don't really work. And there is a lot of science behind why they don't work. When we talk about habits and we deliver on habits, we talk about the science of creating a new habit and breaking a bad habit. And actually, one of the biggest reasons that that's really difficult for us is because if it's too big, we're fighting against the brain. The brain just doesn't want us to do something that's too big because that feels dangerous and unknown. And so we tell ourselves that we're going to exercise every day when we haven't done anything through 2025. And the brain says, well, no, you didn't do it through 2025 and you were alive by the end of the year. So maybe we shouldn't exercise this year either. So it's not a you problem. It's not a flaw in you. This is a human brain problem. This is something we all struggle with. And so for a very long time, I have not considered resolutions at all. I do not do them. I do not believe in them. I do not encourage a single one of you to do them. What I do encourage you to do and what I do myself is instead I think of what intentions I have for the coming year. How do I want to show up? What are my intentions? How do I want to treat myself? How do I want to treat other people? How do I want to show up at work? When you set an intention, it becomes a lot more flexible, it's a lot more realistic, and the brain is much more likely to go along with you. And one of the ways in which I work on setting intentions is with this little exercise I have done for years, and it's called the more of, less of exercise. So I'm going to ask you to get a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of it. And on one side, write more of, and on one side, write less of. And I want you to just think through 2026, what do you want to do more of? Do you want to do more laughing? Do you want to do more traveling? Do you want to do more studying, more exercise? Just more of it. And write your list. Now, this is something you'll probably work on way beyond this session, but hopefully you can get a few in your more ofs. And then on the other side of the page, what do I want to do less of? Less worrying, less crying, less arguing, less stressing, less working, less running around for everyone else, less people pleasing. And you start to create these two lists. And this has been the foundation of my New Year's intentions for a very long time because this enables me to be kind to myself, to be compassionate to myself. But it also enables me to work on the fact that I will always be a work in progress. So it's not ever a case that, oh, I've done the work and now I'm perfect and I'm fine. I will always be a work in progress. So doing a bit more of something and a bit less of something feels much more manageable and acceptable on those terms. And if you're brave enough and courageous enough, I would love it if you could put in the chat box some of the things you're going to do more of and less of and create like a personal commitment. So I will do more of and less of and tell us what they are. Let us know what they are. And we can encourage you. More travel, less sugar. That's a pretty good one, Tom. I would definitely say more adventure, less worrying. Yeah, mine was less worrying as well, Heidi. More horse riding, less worrying. Beautiful. More self-compassion, less doubt. Oh, I love that, Nick. More travel, less stress. Perfect. Love it. More adventure, less stress. Great. More reading, less procrastination. Yes, Philip. If you've done our stress session, procrastination is a stress response. So it might be worth having a look at that replay if you didn't see it. More adventure with my daughter, less worrying. Beautiful, Saren. More time outdoors, less doubting myself. Love it. Isn't this a much kinder way of doing New Year? It's something that you can take back and do it with your partner and your kids. Like from any age, you can do this. More paddle boarding, less free time thinking of work. Yeah, stop giving it as much headspace, Hannah. And paddle boarding should help with that, right? Okay, so to summarize, we can reduce our stress with micro moments of calm. We talk about this quite often. Again, if you haven't done the stress session, it might be worth having a look at that as a replay. But Tom and I often talk about it in terms of just learning to tap the brakes with these micro moments of calm, rather than what most of us do is we go headlong into life full of stress and then we slam on the brakes. So we take a day off, we book a holiday, whatever it is, and then we get ill because it's almost like too much of a jolt to our system. What we always recommend is that if we learn to tap the brakes throughout our day, then we can actually sustain driving through that stress. And you can do it with these micro moments of calm, the breathing, the grounding, the havening. Paying attention to our breath changes our nervous system so we can move from fight or flight into rest and digest. I was always taught when I was studying breath that the rhythm of my breath reflects the rhythm of my life. And that's really stuck with me because when I'm stressed and when I'm running around, my breathing is like that. And when I'm calm and present, my breathing is so relaxed. And I can change the rhythm of my life by changing the rhythm of my breath. Set intentions, not resolutions, more of, less of, and decide what you want to do more of, less of for 2026. If you want any help on any of these exercises, we've got loads of resources. So if you needed anything, just drop me or Tom a message and we'll always help. Share them with people as well. I will hand over to Tom for this part. Tom?
Yes, thank you, Leanne. I was just copy and pasting. Ready. So thank you. That was a wonderful session. I hope people have found it calming. And naturally, if you'd like us to come in and spread some calm into the place of your work, then we love nothing more than a full hour of breath work and relaxation. And so yeah, just drop us a message for that. So all the videos for this session, resources, will email to everyone afterwards, or you can just jump straight to the website beamtraining.co.uk/people home. If you would like to chat to us about anything that we discussed or any of the work that we do, any of the sessions we've done throughout the year, or any of the sessions that we've got planned for the next year, then feel free to drop us a message and schedule a call with either myself or Leanne, and we'd be more than happy to do that. I will put in the chat the upcoming sessions and the links to join the People Network group on LinkedIn as well. That's a nice growing group. We share lots of updates, replays, articles from the People magazine, and anything else that we find interesting as well. That is, I think that's it for updates. But yes, we have loved this year. We didn't really know what People was going to be when we really started it. So we are truly grateful that it has evolved into the little community that it is right now. And thank you very much for always being engaging in the chat as well. So yeah, thank you for everyone that's coming through.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. Genuinely so grateful and wish you a very happy and peaceful Christmas. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas to all.
Oh, thank you. It's so lovely.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and we will hang around.